What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a spring ball recap through Coach Slate's eyes edition of Buckeye-Film-Breakdown. As always, I am Jeremy. Middle of the screen tonight, we got Coach Slate. Far side, we got Jake hopping on to join us tonight. As always, we appreciate you guys tapping in. If you're on YouTube or any other avenue, enjoy the free preview. If you're on Buckeye-Film-Breakdown through Substack, enjoy the episode. As we talked about at the end of our last episode, Coach Slate's been at practice 2 days this week. Wanted to just kind of hop on here and really do practice through his eyes as a coach, as a fan, as a mentor to some guys on the squad. Just kind of initial reaction, Slate, before we dive into the weeds.
Yeah, man, it was fun to get down there. You know, obviously getting to see Coach Hinton is always great. As soon as you walk in the building, there's Marion Harding. He just instantly jumps up and gets excited about that. So that's always fun, man. But you're never not surprised by the intensity that these guys are practicing with, the intentionality that these guys are being coached with. And it's always pretty cool to see the game being coached and played at that high level and just how hard the guys practice, right? That is something that you just always are enamored with. And so that's always something that I always enjoy seeing. And so that is like my first initial reaction to practice is like, wow, these dudes just practice so freaking hard. It's like their life depends on it. And that is something that I always take away, and I'm always blown away by it. But it's just it means something more to them. Like they're playing like they're trying to win a national championship, man. And it's April. They got a long way to go. But that you could feel it as soon as you walk into the Woody.
That's awesome. So, you're pretty humble about this. You don't bring it up a lot. You play it close to the vest, but you kind of shared it on social media today. You've had the privilege of not only coaching, but building true relationships through your stops at Finley and Olentangy with multiple dudes on the team who encompass all levels, honestly, of kind of the pecking order in a program that size. So before we dive in, obviously, just props to you, man. Like you keep it humble, but it's a hell of an accomplishment.
I appreciate that, man. I don't I don't do anything. I look at a call sheet. I like what I call, and they are the ones that go out there and execute, man. So don't give me too much credit, man. There's a play I remember vividly with Luke against Perrysburg. I looked at Luke and I said, "Hey, what do you want to call?" And he said, "Let's run this." And I said, "Okay." And he got to stop. And so I looked like I did something right, but I was just listening to the guys.
That's awesome. I mean, but it's the relationships. You coached Luke for 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
And to this day, you can tell the relationship that you have with Luke, the way he feels about you, his family feels about you. We know that. So yeah, we'll jump into that in a second. I know Jake's got some questions he wants to fire out. So I'm gonna go ahead and let him fire a question.
Yeah, man. Spoken like a true coach there when you give all your credit to other people. So props to you, man. No, I think it's good to give an overall temperature for these practices. And I've obviously been to a few of those over the years myself. I've been to quite a few of the Browns training camp sessions and both public and private and all that stuff. And the NFL is so vastly different because you're talking about this ahead of the show. These kids are all coming in different backgrounds, a lot of them, and it's changed now where it was a lot of everybody competing on the same perceived playing field, right, as far as what we always knew. But now there's money involved, right? And there's kids that are coming in, freshmen who are hungry, transfers who are hungry, transfers who are paid, freshmen who are paid. And it just brings, I'm sure, and I know Ryan Day recently talked about I think he had mentioned something about we're closer to a draft than ever for all of this stuff. And it has to be a weird dynamic, and you really probably get some insane competition going on every day at practice where it's two teams are essentially getting together. You got so many kids in different places. You got kids who are coming in at 18 trying to prove their merit, early arrivals, all that. And then you got guys who are in there maybe third or fourth college coming in, getting paid handsomely to come in and perform as a rented a rented performer, which probably presents its own challenges. Was this like, is the NIL world has shifted? Did it feel different to you in any way? Like, did it feel different in I mean, obviously there's a lot of new faces, but like, does it feel different to you in any way? I guess it's a good question.
Yeah, I think there you could sense that there was definitely a sense of urgency from some of the guys. For instance, Brandon Ennis, like there's no doubt he feels pressure. There's no doubt that there is a sense of urgency from him. But one of the things, and I've hyped this guy up so much, one of the reasons why I respect him so much, while he knows there's a sense of pressure, Kyle Parker was brought in to take his job. And Kyle Parker is somebody that I saw practice and I have like, wow, like this dude, he's got to play. But the one thing I respect so much about Brandon Ennis is that Kyle Parker is doing well and Brandon Ennis is his biggest hype man. But he also knows, like, when I get my reps, I better go out and show out. I better go out and do my thing. And so, like, when he feels like I didn't get enough separation on those reps, like you could see that he is like pressing a little bit, but he wants it so bad because he knows that competition is very high. So you see that at like that highest level at receiver when Brandon Ennis is a returning captain, 4th-year guy. And then you see that, with the young guys as well. Safety room, Blaine Bradford is a highly touted safety. Jay Timmons is a highly touted DB. Those are guys that are highly compensated to come to Ohio State. And then you have some lower level guys. I don't want to say lower level, but like my guy, Caden Gebhart, who is like itching to get on the field. He's got to do a little bit more to get on the field before these guys. And you can kind of see that. And I don't know what all goes into that, but you can definitely feel that there is, okay, like these people have to get those opportunities first because of what we're giving them. Perfect example is that, and we'll probably talk about it, Brock Boyd in the wide receiver room. Chris Henry Jr. is definitely getting those first opportunities. Brock Boyd has stolen the show. And so you can't ignore the fact that Brock Boyd has come in and is just this dog. And so now we have to make sure we are recognizing that. So those are things that you could definitely see. Those guys, those highly touted guys, the guys that they're paying a lot of money, you can see that they're getting a lot of reps to start out.
I would say it's fascinating too, because like it takes a lot of the guessing game out of it, right? Whereas years gone by, it's like for some safeties, an open opportunity, right? We know who the rising upperclassman is, the guy who will get the first chance, but you always kind of knew that like, hey, everybody's level here. But now it's like we're paying this guy $1.2 million to come here from Florida State, not trying to use just one example, or the Alabama duo, right? Et cetera, et cetera. I do wonder internally what those discussions are where you're like, and I don't want to do this to Bo Atkinson because he's gonna get a real chance this year to turn it around. Like you bring in a guy who had production of the play, he comes here and he can't. You're like kind of seeing it. Like, hey man, we actually have a freshman that's better than this guy, and we're also though paying him $800,000 this year to be here, and we're using valuable dollars. So I do just kind of wonder. And this isn't something you glean from practice, it's more of an opinion kind of topic for both of you guys, but like where the coaches draw the line, and like obviously winning's most important. Everybody wants to win. You got to do what's best for the team, et cetera, et cetera. But like that dynamic of we're paying this guy, right?
Yeah.
It kind of can do that with guys you draft in the NFL. A second round pick, you could really love their college tape, you could like them, and then they get on the field at the NFL level, and you're like, we missed this evaluation. This isn't it. And I wonder what the threshold can be for, if it changes the traditional threshold of a guy who's just a rising junior ready to start, but maybe it's not working out versus a guy you paid, again, like $1 million to come over and be that guy, maybe who played at Virginia or just somewhere else. You know what I mean? So that's an interesting dynamic that gets cooked into this.
Yeah.
You saw it last year.
Oh, go ahead.
Ethan Onyeonwa.
Yeah.
Comes in, a dude everybody thought was going to be a day 2 pick in the draft. Ohio State convinces him to stay. He comes in, beginning of spring ball, okay, this guy's a mountain. His body's transforming. He's doing all the right things, and it just never clicked to the point. Then you've got Phillip Daniels, the guy who everybody thought was the project, comes in and balls out, honestly. And so I think Ryan Day, of all people in college football, has a propensity to do the right thing, and I don't think he's going to let it affect him. But obviously, like Slate said, it's spring ball. It's just the first cracks. So you're going to give it to those guys who are getting compensated well.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it, man. And the other thing too, and we bring that up, that interesting, dichotomy of all of it. guys like Terry Moore have brought out the best in Leroy Roker. And Leroy Roker is a player. You see him in practice. He's a leader out there. And so now he's also pushing Terry Moore. Terry Moore is fighting to get on the field. And you could see every rep matters. It means something to them. And so I love seeing that high level competition, man. And it's like, okay, you brought this guy in from Duke, first team all ACC. Leroy Roker is like, I was this lowly rated guy who's developed and grinded. You're going to have to come take this spot from me. And it's paying off. And so I just love seeing that high level competition, man. It was interesting. We'll dive into it more, but there was some interesting, battles and things that we saw down there that were just fun to watch, man. It's just good competition, healthy competition as well.
Who? Let me ask you this. I kind of vividly remember I was my senior year of college, 2010. We went to spring ball and did some stuff on that way. And you just kind of get there and there's these guys on the field that they're just aura guys, right? So like JJ's obviously one of them, but I remember back then it was like Terrell Pryor's final years, like these guys who you just get like, oh, like these are the dudes that everyone's drawn to. Back then it was like kind of Posey and Sands and Bacher on the defensive side, Chimdi Chekwa, you could just move different, right? And Cam Hayward was moving different than everybody, right? That one's turned out to be that guy still playing football. It's pretty magnificent. But
that's insane.
Obviously, like I said, everyone's answer is JJ, but is there any of those others that, especially on the defense that is replacing a healthy amount? Is it Kenyatta? Like, are there guys that you're just like, oh yeah, this dude knows he's about to have a big year. He's about to do his thing. And you can tell everybody's kind of drawn to the magnet that is that player on the football field.
Honestly, he just got there, man. Earl Little. I think he just got there. But the way and the buzz around Earl Little is deserved. I mean, he was just all over the field, making play after play. They're utilizing him very similar to how they utilize Caleb Downs. I think they realize that he's just a very versatile guy. He can play multiple spots. And so there's definitely a feeling around him that he's somebody that's going to be a player for them. The other guy to me who I feel like has that aura and he's just like very, very quiet is Kenyatta Jackson. And it's because he is a mountain of a human being. Like being up close to him, it's just like, wow. Like this dude is huge. And I just think he's primed for a breakout year. And the way that he carries himself is very professional. And it's just he's just out there and he just knows that he's got to work. And him and Edric Houston were two guys defensively that I was just like, okay, those guys, they look different. They look like NFL bodies. They're athletic, just anomalies. Like they just don't look like they should be able to be that big. They got the skinny ankles and all that stuff. Like the people always talk about, like just they had some aura about them. And then offensively, and I'm a homer with this, but Luke Montgomery, like I cannot stress how mature he's gotten. Like this dude has just matured so much in the way that he carries himself, the way that he commands different things, and the way that he's not afraid to speak up and go at it with people. Even the coaches, man, like he's not afraid to speak up if he doesn't like something, and he does it in a way that is the way a leader would do it. And so like there's just certain people that command certain respect, and he's developed that trait. And so to being able to see that up close, I was like, man, okay. Like there are just some people that I like he's going to have a huge year. And so they were definitely commanding that. But then obviously JJ, I mean, I've not seen anything like this. Like the closest thing I've seen to this is Terrell Pryor. Like just that type of like buzz around him. Everybody wants to be around him. Like he's on another level.
Yeah, no, it's the NFL is on another level with him too. So
yeah.
I mean, I genuinely think if he came out this year, the Raiders would be discussing it. I think they'd be discussing it. So, cool. Other things, offense, obviously the huge dynamic here. So not that they're going to rewrite the world here, but I think people would probably be curious what elements of, fundies are they working on? Are they doing some every day, both days you were there? So are they doing some half line periods, some different period, like, zone, different period. Yeah. Just explain what you saw offensively that looked, and maybe people can start to expect.
Yeah. So the one thing offensively that I really love, and we as high school coaches and just coaches in general make the game way more difficult than it needs to be. And so they are like about the basics and what they are going to run and practice that day in the team script and the 7-on-7 script. It is directly correlated into every drill that they do throughout the day. And I love seeing that. And I know that's something that they've done in the past, but I felt like this week in like these spring practices, it was more ingrained than I've ever seen it. And I don't know if that's an Arthur Smith thing. I don't know if that's something that he did in the NFL. But for instance, Arthur Smith is a big stretch guy, right? He's going to, the stretch is going to be a part of what we do. Everybody knows that Arthur Smith, that's what he does. And so like they have a crack replace drill that they were doing that was fantastic, that correlated with what the defense was going to be doing. And so they could run stretch or they could run stretch pass. And it was like if then statements that the offense had to answer, the defense had to answer. And it was just a fantastic drill. But if you rewind to that, you go back to Indy, they would run stretch and then they would have the quarterback carry out his fake. And then one of the GAs is tossing him a ball and he's throwing the backside, whatever. And it's just like everything just correlated together. And then some of the different concepts that they were going to be running in 7-on-7. They had a different situation in gotta have it period where it's 4th and 5 and they got to get a first down. And they were on Julian saying, you've got to get to the backside dig. You've got to find a way to get to the backside dig. They get to the backside dig to JJ. He takes it 70 yards for a touchdown. Like there's just like different things that they were emphasizing that they put into individual practice and they actually ran it in the team sessions. And to me, like I could get into a lot more schematical stuff and I don't we could be here all day long about that. But to see that translate and just to see the different basic fundamentals from the everyday drills that they were doing, making that correlate to the team sessions, to me, that is just like the essence of what a good coach is. Arthur Smith and Matt Patricia, elite teachers of the game of football. I mean, elite. I was around them for 2 days, and just the way that they spoke to the guys, the way they made it and broke it down and made it as simple as possible, and still getting that high level conversation from Julian, from the running backs, from the tight ends, and then vice versa on the defensive side. It was fun to watch, man. It's definitely important that these guys are getting this time in the spring because it was definitely on display for us to see like, okay, this is an NFL offense.
Yeah, that's a good thing I want to hit on for a second, which is like how involved did you feel Arthur Smith was with the overseeing? Like, is Ryan in Julian's ear talking about the backside, which is open? Let me clarify for everybody. The backside dig is always open. You hear me talk about that all the time. But is Ryan there, or is Ryan kind of off in the, like, how is the dynamic between Arthur? Is this like Arthur's running this thing, man, and like Ryan's overseeing, watching? I know Ryan's going to coach, but like, what's your vibe there?
It seemed to me Coach Smith is running the show. I mean, he's definitely running the install. There's no doubt about it. Now, obviously, Coach Day is super involved, but Coach Day he'd be working with the receivers. He'd be working with the O-line, working with the tight ends, like coaching every individual position up during those team sessions, those 7-on-7 sessions. Like he's doing a good job of staying involved, but also letting Coach Smith kind of lay the groundwork for what he's trying to implement. And it's definitely Coach Smith is doing a good job of just really overseeing everything. And he's a very like mellow guy. Like I thought it would be like more like high energy, like rowdy a little bit, but he's very chill. Like he's very, very chill. So, but Coach Day is letting him do his thing. So I like seeing that for a guy who's just coming in back to the college world.
You know, you kind of think about it zoomed out. You know, I understand that like Kevin Wilson had a nice tenure and Urban was doing his thing. And, you know, we all respect Brian Hartline to the highest level you could imagine. And the year with Chip Kelly was a ton of fun, as we can all remember. But like, this is a pretty stacked coaching staff. When you think about like two guys who have, I understand both of those guys didn't have as much success in the NFL as they wanted as head coaches, right? But like again, like imagining this world where under Urban, and it's not that the Urban group didn't have great success. I'm trying to say that, but like I just think, again, when you zoom out on it and think about it, they have two guys who have been NFL head coaches recently, one heavily connected to, Bill Belichick and everything that was so successful for Bill. And then obviously Arthur carving his own path and kind of falling under that wide zone tree and doing very well for himself in different stops at the NFL level. And I don't necessarily think that his undoing in Atlanta was all driven by the offense. So like, I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy to zoom out, like we said, and you think about the reshape of how the roster feels with NIL, but like their ability here to land some, really serious coaches for this group is pretty interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's really cool the way that they've really structured practice. Like Coach Patricia and Coach Smith are definitely the head coach of the offense, head coach of the defense. And when they go to their teach periods, like they are fully in control. Like Coach Day is with, whether it's specialists, whether it's the young guys, like he is separate. Like they are fully in control. And so it's really cool to see that dynamic, because he does have two former NFL head coaches. Like he knows for a fact, like,
and
I
Arthur
can
Smith
trust
is
him.
like Julian saying, he's like, hey man, this is what Aaron Rodgers and I were talking about just last, whatever. Like there's like, I think when you come into this stuff and you're selling guys on coming in, you're selling NIL transfers and different things. It's like what you're getting here right now is what you're going to get if you get to the league, and that matters, right? And it's like those guys have the ability to call back on so many things that would just like automatically a kid at the table. Okay, he's talking about Bill Belichick taught him this in 2022. I'm not, what am I going to not listen? Am I not going to pay attention? Like the same with the guy, in the quarterback room talking about what you're doing with Aaron Rodgers, or, hey, this is what we did at Tennessee with Vrabel and these different set. Like they're going to, it's different now. So it's funny to me, like this world we're living in where a lot of the coverage is about, the players you're getting in this different era, but it seems like NFL coaches are drawn more to kind of putting themselves into the college world than ever before. I mean, Todd Monken's run with Georgia was highly, highly successful. I mean, they put together really great offenses with him. And it's fascinating how the NFL guys who are trying to maybe regain themselves or maybe find that passion or relight the fire or whatever are coming out of the college world and doing really well with this stuff. And Ohio State seems, I'm happy they're entertaining this. I know it's hard to replace people all the time, or, nobody wanted to see Patricia come and go in a year, right? We were all kind of waiting on pins and needles for that, trying to figure that out. But like, there just is a lot of good that I think can come from these guys who are, getting that automatic respect at the NFL level, so fast, because this is the NFL. And you're telling guys like, Kenyatta Jackson or whoever, if they had lost him in a year, they lose. The new defensive coordinator's got to get. This is the way it is in the NFL, man. Coaches come and go. You got to come in. They got to learn them. You got to adapt. It's all very like Ohio State has just turned into such an NFL factory. It is really fascinating how well they can sell almost every angle of what they do for like you're living an NFL life here now. You go to some classes and you're doing that. We get it, but like it's not full Cardale, play school, but like this is an NFL minor league program now.
Definitely. It definitely is. And I was talking to one of my buddies today about it, and it is definitely Saban era type of talent on the roster, depth. I mean, there is just talent everywhere. And it is, I don't know if I've seen an Ohio State team this deep at every position. Like that is something, obviously running back, Bo and Isaiah were there and they were doing some indie stuff, but they're not practicing. But like the depth of this team at every position is pretty impressive, man.
Who in the running back room, before I have to split here in a minute, but like who in the running back room has caught your eye early? I mean, I know these guys are the top two are pretty ingrained, but yeah, give it to us.
One of the notes today that I wrote down was Jacoby Jackson. I don't know if he will be a primary ball carrier for us, but he had a day today. I mean, he was making some cuts. He made Quay Russaw look like an absolute fool on a play, and Quay Russaw lost his black stripe today. But he made him look silly on a play. He did a great job running the wide zone, the stretch stuff, making the right cuts. He had a long run, probably about 70 yards, 60 yards for a touchdown. Like, he has done a really good job of staying patient and then playing behind his pads when he has to play behind his pads. He's a lot shiftier and a lot faster than I expected him to be. You can tell he's finally healthy from his injury. And so he has been somebody that has really popped for me. Favor Aki can run. He's got to get a little bigger. You know, my guy Caden got him really good on a play and made him fumble. I mean, he lit him up, but he has really done a really good job of, you know, showing his physicality. And, you know, when Turbo has been out there, he's done a pretty decent job as well. But Jacoby Jackson is the one that has really shown that he can play. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
Speaking of the running back room, do they have Legend doing anything right now? Any idea, you know, what you saw there injury wise?
He was, so on Tuesday he did stuff. Today he did some indie stuff, but he was definitely, there's something tweak or whatever, something going on. But he was definitely at practice, shoulder pads, helmet, like he's participating, but he was not doing any of the team stuff. So I don't think it's anything like major.
Gotcha.
Well, Slade, I'm pumped to read it. Your first one was great. I want to read the second one deeply, man. I expect everybody else listening to this to jump in and, you know, unlock the article and read it too, man. It'll be great insight. We get the most we can out of your 2-day visit, buddy. Great job. I'll holler at you guys soon. All right. Thanks for having me.
All right. See you, man.
And we will use that as a stopping point real quick for our YouTube watchers to enjoy the free preview. And we will hop back on in about 5 seconds for everybody else.